Have you ever just not gotten a haircut because, you didn't want to pay for it, and then you justified it by saying, well, I'm just being frugal? That's the boat I'm in right now. Hey everybody, Ace here. Money is not everything, but when you are struggling financially, it may seem like the only thing, and it is still very important. As I like to say personally, I would rather cry in a Ferrari than on a bus. There's an increasing amount of people who are trying to manage debt and student loans. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about the 5 basic things you need to know about money. Have you ever looked at your bank account and been in complete shock at how much money you have in there? This initial shock or panic can be reduced, and the simple way to do that is to budget. A budget is the foundation to finances, and having a budget doesn't have to be painful or burdensome at all. An easy way to visualize your budget is by putting them into separate buckets. For example, your living expenses, which might include rent or utilities, or your food expenses, which might include groceries or going out to eat. 50% should cover your base essentials, and that would include things like your food, your rent, your housing, your utilities, debt payments, and even healthcare. 15% should go into your retirement fund, whether that be your 401k, 403b, IRAs, or your individual brokerage account, and 5% should be put away for your short-term savings needs. That would include your emergency fund. And if you can stick to that 50, 15, and 5, the other 30% you can use for whatever you want to do. Going out to eat more, vacations, saving more for retirement, whatever you want to do with it. I would like to note that sticking to the 50, 15, and 5 might not be achievable for everyone depending on what you're getting paid, but if you have a budget and you can stick to it, it's going to severely help you out in the long run. Second thing is credit. For me, I didn't start even thinking or caring about my credit until I was in my mid-20s. I thought, well, what's the point of having credit? Anyone I know who has a credit card has a lot of debt racked up, so I'm better off just avoiding that completely and not even thinking about it. Well, long story short, I was wrong to think that way. Having a good credit will allow you to purchase things you're not necessarily able to purchase without having a good credit, as in a house or a car. And credit can also be very confusing. If you don't know what credit is or how to manage it, it can hurt you financially. I want to highlight 2 types of credit. There is credit you can use, like a credit card, and credit you build, like your credit score. The biggest thing that attributes to your credit score is your payment history. How often have you paid? Have you paid consistently, or have you paid the minimum payment on time every month? If you've made your payments late or missed them completely, that can affect your credit score in a negative way. A couple other things that will affect your credit is credit utilization. How much of your credit are you using? The lower, the better. So for example, if you have an $8,000 limit, if you're only using $200 or $300 a month, that's good. And the length of your credit history. The longer, the better. So the longer you've had a credit card or have been utilizing your credit, the better off that is for you, attributing to a higher credit score. Overall, having a good credit and being mindful of what your credit is and what affects it will help you financially in the long run. The third thing you need to know about money is debt. Debt is something that can hold you back from your financial goals or feel like something that is weighing on you for long periods of your life. It can add a lot of unnecessary stress to your life. Debt can keep you from your goals and keep you from being financially independent, but it doesn't have to be that way. Debt is a game of catch up. You always need to try to get ahead of your debt. It's a game of trying to pay off what you owe before you go deeper into debt. Becoming debt-free can be challenging in and of itself. I personally am a fan of Dave Ramsey's debt snowball, and in its most basic form, what that is you pay off your lowest debt and roll that into your bigger debts. Now, you're debt-free, and let's say you're wondering about how to remain debt-free. What it really comes down to is improving your overall financial health. You need to take actions to make it so you no longer have to rely on using debt to get yourself out of certain financial situations. And the first step is creating an emergency fund. When creating an emergency fund, just open an account with any sort of bank or credit union and start putting money into that emergency fund. Even $25 a week is a great start until you hit roughly 3 to 6 months of your expenses. You need to use this emergency fund when major financial burdens happen. So for instance, If you were to get into a car crash and you have to get a new car, or you lose your job, you would start taking money out of that emergency fund to pay for those things, rather than putting them on a credit card or utilizing debt in another way to pay for those major financial burdens. And make sure you pay attention to the interest rates on credit cards. That severely hurts your financial well-being. Credit cards on average have 20% or higher interest rate. So when you're charging things onto your credit card and you're not even thinking about it, next thing you know, you realize you don't have money to pay off that credit card right away. Whatever purchase you put on there, you're gonna get 20% or more interest on top of that until you pay it off. That is how the debt catch-up game works. Debt is manageable and you can get out of debt. Anyone can get out of debt. It just takes a well thought out plan that you have to stick to and be serious about, and you will, I promise, you will be able to get out of debt. Fourth is investing. Investing is one of the best ways to reach your financial goals. And the key to investing is compounding and compounding interest. I'm gonna put a link up above to my video on compounding interest so you can watch it to understand how it works. Now, there is a risk with investing that you could lose all your money. So make sure you understand what your risk tolerance is and develop a plan for how you're going to invest going forward. The different types of risks people are willing to accept with their money is called the asset allocation. So let's say you're someone who is really afraid of losing all their money in the stock market. Your asset allocation could look something like the following. 30% of your money is saved in cash, 50% of it is in bonds. That total 80% of your money is between cash and bonds, which is very safe assets, and then the remaining 20% you put in stocks. So if the stock market does tank, you in theory would only lose 20% of your money, but the other 80% would be safe. Everyone's asset allocation is different. Mine personally is extremely aggressive, as I have aggressive goals. So I am 100% stocks, going big on red, baby. Investing is very important, but there is a lot of detail behind investing. So if you have no idea what you're doing or you are confused about something, reach out to a professional or do your own research before starting. The last thing is retirement. I personally think from my age group, and that's the millennial age group, more people are trying to figure out ways to retire early rather than working until their 60s or older. There are plenty of different ways to save for retirement, and I'm just gonna list out a few. There's the 401k if you work for a public or a private company. If you work for a hospital or a school system, you have the 403b. There are Roth IRA and a traditional IRA if you are self-employed or want to save additional on the side. Lastly, there's an individual brokerage account that you could utilize to save for retirement. Most of the retirement accounts I mentioned, the 401k, 403b, Roth, and traditional IRAs, all have different tax advantages for them. For your Roth IRA or traditional IRA, since you have to pay taxes up front out of your paycheck, you don't have to pay taxes on what is earned or withdrawn from your Roth IRA or traditional IRA once you hit the age limit to withdraw. When you're thinking about retirement, you need to think about when you want to retire, at what age and what point of your life you want to retire. And then you should probably just start thinking about how much money you might need to be able to retire. Everyone is going to be different depending on the lifestyle you want to live. If you have absolutely no idea where to start, what age, or how much money you're going to need for retirement, a good base starting point is putting 15% away of your annual salary in for retirement. Having that 15% base that you're putting in for retirement will give you a good starting point. So when later down in life you do decide, hey, I want to retire by 55 or I want to be retired by 60, you'll already have that good base built up, and then you can just increase your contributions from there to hit that retirement goal that you need to make. And there you have it, the 5 basic things you need to know about money. If you liked this video or learned anything, please just tap that thumbs up button for me. That'd really help me out, and subscribe for more content. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.